Hello, this is McD the Beast, and this is McD Sports 4 coming to you today with my college football week 6 top 25. Before I continue, don't forget to hit the thumbs up. Please subscribe to your channel. Really appreciate if you do that. Really try and grow the channel. So go ahead and do that if you're new to the channel. You will not regret it. We do have a subscriber goal of 500 by the end of the year, which we'd like to hit. This past week, I wanted to get hop on twice on Saturday, but I was only able to get around to it once because something popped up. Um, you look at this past Saturday, a lot of interesting results. Just like the last week, you had Oregon go down, you had Florida go down, you had Notre Dame go down, Arkansas I thought got a reality check, Ole Miss got a reality check. So some teams in the top 25 lost. Um, and there was some shuffling around, but overall, I think, in my opinion, I'm gonna explain at the end of the video what I think this college football season is heading to. But I'm pretty sure you're gonna agree with me. But here's my week 6 top 25. Okay, on number 25, I'll go 25 through 1. SMU, they are new to the pool. Number 25, SMU. I think they're 25 in AP as well. I do not look at the AP before I do my poll. So I actually did this yesterday, but couldn't get around to filming it until Monday morning. I was going to film it after the Patriots game last night. Which, by the way, that was a good game, the Bucks Patriots game, but I felt I was too tired to do anything after that game. But anyways, SMU number 25. Um, Listen, at this point, if you're undefeated, especially at 5-0, I gotta put you in the poll somewhere. So they're 5-0 SMU. I'm gonna be honest with you. Outside the TCU one, which was pretty impressive, some of their wins have been pretty close. So I picked them at number 25. I think they're the 25th best team in the country. Number 24 is Wake Forest. I moved them up one spot. Good win against Louisville. I mean, you found a way to beat Louisville, which is good. Is Wake Forest the best team in the ACC? They might be. So number 24, Wake Forest. Number 23, Texas. They have a big matchup in the Red River Shootout. I'm telling you guys right now, I am probably picking Texas to win that game. I think, and I'll talk about Oklahoma some when we get to Oklahoma, but Texas, they're back in the poll at number 23. I do think they are a top 25 team. I mean, they're 4-1. They seem to find something with the quarterback Casey Thompson. So we'll see what happens. But number 23, Texas. Number 22 is San Diego State. Yeah, they didn't play last week. I moved them down 2 spots. I felt like the Mountain West kind of took a reputation hit last week. This past week, the San Diego State and Wyoming are the only two undefeated teams. Wyoming is, I think, only 3-0, 4-0, something like that. They are not in the top 25 because I think Wyoming's resume is pretty underwhelming. I mean, they're surviving their games. I mean, they barely survived the FCS. They barely survived UConn. But to UConn's credit, they are playing better since they got rid of Randy Edsall. Um, so I love Wyoming out, and I just think the Mountain West took a reputation hit. Fresno State lost. Boise State's 2-3. So UCLA lost. So I think, in my opinion, I do think the Mountain West took a reputation hit, so that's why I moved San Diego State down to 22. But I still think they're a top 25 team, 22nd best team in the country. And then 21, UTSA. UTSA and UAB are going on a collision course in the Conference USA. It's going to be those two teams. UAB, they're 4-1. They just got a big win. Actually, they actually, I think, lost to Liberty, if I'm not mistaken. They lost to Liberty 36-12. So they're on a collision course. I think UTSA is the better team from what I've seen so far, but we'll see what happens. But UTSA, in my opinion, is the 21st best team in the country. Number 20 is Auburn. Very impressive win. First time since 1999, since the Auburn Tigers went on the road and beat LSU. Very impressive win. Came back down 13-0 in that one at one point. Can't say enough about Auburn. And I was telling people, Brian Harsin's gonna work at Auburn. He's gonna work. He just needs to recruit a little bit better. But I mean, he's gonna get his guys in there, his type of players in there, and they're gonna win. Now, granted, I'll tell you this: next week they're not being Georgia, but in my opinion, I think Auburn, from what I've seen so far, can win any other game besides Georgia and maybe the Bama game. Outside of those two games, they could probably win any other game on that schedule. So number 20, Auburn. Number 19 is Florida. They moved down. What a embarrassing loss to Kentucky. I mean, that, and by the way, that was play calling on the end on Dan Mullen. He needs to have better play calling there at the end. Uh, you look at Florida. I still think they're a top 25 team, but I mean, they're 0-2 in the SEC. So I moved Florida down to 19. Number 18, Arkansas. They got a reality check. They are a good team still. I mean, and I'm going to talk about it when I talk about Alabama and Georgia. They ran to, I think, a team that's going to be in the national championship, hands down, in my opinion. So and Arkansas, you look at their schedule, they have Ole Miss next. It's a bloody bloodbath of murder row of in October if you're Arkansas. So you could go 0-4 in the month of October if you're Arkansas. I don't think they will. We'll see what happens. But number 18, Arkansas. Number 17 is Kentucky. They're new to the pool. Win an impressive win by Kentucky. Now, granted, they kind of got bailed out by, I think, bad play calling by Florida. But it's a big win for Kentucky. They have had a lot of issues beating Florida, as you know. Outside of 2018, they haven't beat them since 1986. I mean, they're 2-2 in the past four against Florida, and Dan Mullen, he's 2-2 against Kentucky. Since he arrived at Florida, so it's a good win for Kentucky. I think Kentucky is well on their way and becoming the second best team in the SEC East, finishing second place. Unfortunately, they have to face Georgia, and they will lose to Georgia. But I think Kentucky's. I mean, I don't think they're that good of a team, but listen, they're finding ways to win games. I mean, they were down to Chattanooga. They found a way to beat that team, even though they should be blowing them out. They found a way to beat Missouri. They found a way to beat Florida. So, in my opinion, I think Kentucky, they deserve a top 25 spot. I think they're the 17th best team in the country. Number 16, Arizona State. Impressive win for them on the road. It was the final on that one, 42-23. I caught the second half of that game against UCLA. Impressive win. Is Arizona State the best team in the Pac-12 South? I think so. I mean, Utah, they're kind of a bit inconsistent. Southern Cal is a dumpster fire. UCLA, they beat UCLA handily in their own building. So I think Arizona State's the best team in the Pac-12 South. You look at their one loss is to a top 25 team. So I like what I'm seeing from Arizona State. They're the 16th best team in the country. And number 15, Oklahoma State. Listen, they're 5-0. I still think that they're losing at least 2 to 3 games in the regular season at some point. But they're 5-0. I gotta give them credit. They're 5-0 in the Big 12. They beat Baylor, which was a top 25 team, even though I don't think they were. Man, I don't think Baylor was a top 25 team. They weren't in my top 25 last week. Um, they beat Boise on the road. They found a way to win that game, and then basically they went ahead. They beat, I forget who else they beat in the Big 12. Um did they beat Texas Tech maybe in the Big 12? I forget who else they beat. Oh no, Kansas State. They beat Kansas State. That's a borderline top 25 team, and they beat Tulsa in the FCS. So, in my opinion, Oklahoma State, the 5-0, they finding ways to win games. On number 15, number 14, Ole Miss. I dropped them a few spots. I mean, let's be real. That first half was bad. If you're Ole Miss, that game was kind of that game was kind of over early. Ole Miss went for it, I think, on 4th and 1 from Alabama's 5, didn't get it, and basically what happened was Alabama drove down, scored a touchdown. The game was over at that point, and it was only 7-0. I thought that the game was over. You look at Ole Miss though, big game against Arkansas this week. If they could find a way to beat Arkansas, I think they could be fine. I mean, in my opinion, they could beat anybody else in the SEC West outside of Alabama, which obviously you saw. And I thought Ole Miss would keep that game a lot closer than 42-21. So We'll see what happens with Ole Miss. Number 13, Notre Dame. I dropped them down outside the top 10. You look at Notre Dame, I mean, eventually I knew the way they were playing was going to catch up to them. Cincinnati is a better team than them. And look at Notre Dame's schedule. You were hoping that like Southern Cal or North Carolina could be those teams that you could set as top 25 wins. Your best game might be Stanford. Um, I'm absolutely serious about that. Southern Cal's a dumpster fire. North Carolina, I think, is at least going to lose another game or two from what I have seen from them. So your best opponent might be Stanford. So Notre Dame, I mean, it's going to be tough for them to make the playoffs. I think with one loss, but I dropped them down to 13. I still think they are a top 15 team. Number 12 is BYU. They beat Utah State. And listen, Utah State, it was in Utah State. Utah State was 3-1 going into the game. 34-20 was the final there on a Friday night. I think BYU is a good team. I really do. A lot of people are making the argument that they are going to be a national brand coming up here soon because of the way they're doing NIL, which I could see that happening. So, I think BYU, I do think they're a top 15 team. I put them at number 12, number 11, Michigan State. People are going to sit there and look at that score against Western Kentucky and be like, oh, they gave up 31 to Western Kentucky. 48-31 was the final. Guys, the halftime score was 42-16 Michigan. 42-16 Michigan State. They took the foot off the gas a little bit. You look at Michigan State and Western Kentucky, they can score. They've proven that over the past year or so under Tyson Helton, the head coach there. You look at Michigan State. I mean, I still think they're losing a few games in the Big Ten, but as of right now, I got to put them at number 11 from what I've seen so far. Number 10 is Coastal Carolina. I couldn't make an argument for any team behind Coastal Carolina that. Let me reword that. I think Coastal Carolina could go ahead and beat any team that they're ahead of, but I don't think they could beat any team that they are behind of. So I picked them at number 10. I still think they're kind of one-dimensional offense, but I mean they're going to win through everybody in the Sun Belt. So I'm going to pick Coastal Carolina at number 10. Number 9, Michigan. Very impressive win on the road against Wisconsin. I did not see that coming. Uh, Michigan, I forget who they get. I think they play Indiana. They were on a bye or they play Indiana or someone else. But Michigan number 9. I do think they're a top 10 team. I think you got to put them in the top 10. They are outside of that second half against Rutgers, and Rutgers they're not a bad team even though they did what I thought they were going to do against Ohio State. Um, you look at Michigan, outside that second half against Rutgers, they've been playing really good football. So I think they are a top 10 team. Number 9, Michigan. Number 8, Oregon. I moved them down to 3 to 8. Stanford's not a bad team. Don't get me wrong on that. They're actually a lot better than what I think a lot of people expected. But Oregon, you was the one hope for the Pac-12. They better hope that they can win out. If I had put money on it, I would actually sit there and say that they're not going to win out. Um, you look at Oregon. I mean, to me, to me, I think they'll cakewalk to the Pac-12 championship game because no one in the Pac-12 North outside maybe Oregon State has a legit shot, and even then, I mean, the talent differences are not even close. Even though Oregon State did beat Oregon last year, you look at Oregon. I mean, I think they're a top 10 team. They still have that big win against Ohio State, but as I said, I knew they were going to lose to somebody. I was tempted to pull the trigger on the upset last week. I didn't. I just said Stanford will cover that 8-point spread, and they did. So credit to Stanford. But Oregon, 8th best team in the country. Number 7 is Oklahoma. They finally got that monkey off their back against Kansas State. But if you look at Oklahoma, it's just not that impressive to me. It really isn't. They're like barely surviving against these guys, against the teams they're playing. When they play Texas this upcoming Saturday, I do think they're losing Texas. Number 6, Penn State. The reason why Penn State is not in the top 5 is I'm not sold on their offense. I'm sold that they can hang with teams, but I don't think they have much of a running game. And do you trust Sean Clifford? I know he did well against Auburn. at home. He's on the road against Iowa this week. Do you trust him against Iowa? Number 5, Cincinnati. What can I say about Cincinnati? I could have picked them in the top 4, but I thought the 4 teams in front of them would beat Cincinnati on a neutral site. They're a great team, Cincinnati. They really are. If they could go undefeated, they have a shot at the college football playoffs. Number 4 is Ohio State. Can we stop panicking about Ohio State? They blew out Rutgers, and a Rutgers team that's probably one of the best Rutgers teams we've seen in a while. Uh, Ohio State, I do think, is right there. They play my Maryland Terps this week. They will beat the Maryland Terps, I think, pretty easily as well. Number 4, Ohio State. Number 3, Iowa. I don't know how you can't make an argument that Iowa's the third best team in the country. I mean, their defense is absurd. Iowa's defense. To me, they are probably the second best defense in the league, behind the number 2 team. You look at Iowa offensively. I still think there's a few question marks, but if they could get short fields to work with the way this defense is playing, there's not many question marks. They have a big game against Penn State this Saturday. Number 2 is Georgia. What can I not say about Georgia? I thought about paying Georgia number 1. The only reason I didn't is because I do think Alabama will still beat Georgia. I'm just not betting against Nick Saban, but Georgia has the best defense. They're gonna cakewalk to the SEC championship game. Same thing with Alabama. I think Georgia and Alabama is meeting in the SEC championship game and the national championship game. So that's my 1-2 right there. Alabama and Georgia. Okay, teams that I left out: Texas A&M. Um, Listen, they're gonna get the butts kicked by Alabama this weekend. The quarterback injury is really costing them. They lost to Ole Miss at home. A&M, I had dropped them out. Maryland, that was embarrassing by my Terps. I had dropped them out. Fresno State lost to Hawaii. I had dropped them out. I forgot who Army lost to, but they lost, so I dropped them out at 23. Thanks for watching the video. Hit the thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel. Greatly appreciate if you do that. We're trying to go to the channel. This is McD the Beast signing off.